On today's video, I'm going to share with you everything that happened in our business during 2020 and what a crazy year. I want to share what went right, what went wrong, and where we're going in the future. Let's do this. Hey everybody, what is up? Ron here. And if you're not new to this channel, you might know that the end of every year, we kind of do a yearly recap of what went right and wrong in the previous year. I've started doing this a few years ago when I was freelancing, and I wanted to share here on YouTube how much money I earned as a freelancer and where that money came from and kind of share my progress. But this is actually the second year of me actually running Flux as my business versus freelancing. And so I still want to do this. I still want to build this company here in the public and share with you how that's going. And so you can watch, and we'll link below the video recapping where I was at the end of last year. But let me give you the gist of it. At the end of 2019, the two main things that kind of like I was debating or holding me back from actually building this as a business was the first one, it was just me and my wife working, right? And I realized that I've kind of reached the limit of what I can do by myself. And I realized that if I want to move forward, if I want to grow this thing, I'm going to have to build a team. That was my core challenge. It was very difficult for me. I've never done like hiring. I've never managed other people before. I was just a freelancer. So, that was a thing that really scared me, and I didn't know how to do this. The second thing was, at 2019, I still did one big client work. And one thing that I was debating about whether I should keep doing client work, because I love doing client work. I love doing design for other people. And I wanted to still keep in touch with, with the craft that I'm teaching other people to do. But then I also realized that there's a conflict, right? When you're working on client project, I can't focus on building my own business I can't focus on this 100% on how do you make the best design education? How do you create the best courses? How do you support your students? Like, I really had to make a tough decision. Who are my clients? Are my clients startups, which I help to design websites for, or my clients are designers who I teach, how to be good designers? And so that was a very, very tough decision for me to do. I end up choosing to stop taking client work and focus only on my teaching business. But as I've said, this wasn't a simple decision for me to make. It was very kind of scary and painful in a way, because I was giving up something that I love doing. It was very tied up to my identity as a designer versus being a teacher or a content creator or whatnot. So those were kind of like the two takeaways from the end of last year. So let's talk about what happened this year. So the first thing is, I'm happy to say that right now at the end of 2020, we have an amazing team in place. So it's not only me. We now have actually everybody taking care of the business. I actually am just a part of the team right now. We have Ismail taking care of all the amazing content that you might be seeing on Instagram and here on YouTube as well. We have Anna taking care of the whole community of 4,000 students that we have right now. We have Tara and Bob who are supporting and coaching our students on Webflow and freelancing. We have Peter, who we just hired to help us with the marketing. We have Nick, who's editing the video. So now we have a full-on team. It's more than just me, and now we can make some real damage and grow this into something that is way, way bigger than me. So this is, I think, for me personally, this is my biggest accomplishment, growing this into a real team, a real company with an amazing team of talented people that can bring in better ideas and better execution that I could have done on my own. So that is something that I'm super proud of. Now, in terms of numbers, I know you all like the numbers. So this year, we've had over 2,000, so actually 2,200 or something new students in Flux Academy, and we ended up with a revenue of $1.6 million. So in a sense, we've basically doubled the business, because last year I think we did like 700 and something K yearly, and this year we've made 1.6. We did it, we were profitable. And so financially, although, and I'll talk about this in a second, I had a much bigger goal. I thought I can 5x the business in a year, which proved impossible. We still doubled the business, and so I'm really happy with that. Now, one of the other big accomplishment of this is that this was all done organically. just with creating great content here on YouTube and on Instagram. Now we've started a blog initiative. And so I think this is really amazing, because if you refer back to the last year's video, where I actually struggled and wasted so much time, money, and effort on trying to make ads work, in 2020, I just said, you know what, I'm not going to actually do this. While we do use ads sometimes just for a couple of days when we're running promotions, the majority of, all of the audience came organically through our content. And I think this is a very, very big accomplishment. Going forward, we will probably start doing ads more heavily, but I think for this year, because I didn't have somebody dedicated throughout the year to running ads or something like that, just having this growth organically, I think for me, that's a very big win. Now this year, we've launched also a new program, so a new course, which is called the 6-Figure Freelance Designer, which is our freelancing program, and that got well received. And so I think that is also a great accomplishment. This year, I don't have to tell you about COVID and the whole thing. Now, I'm a father with 2 kids who, for a lot of this year, had my kids stay at home because they didn't have kindergarten and stuff like that. And so I had to split, taking care of the kids between me and my wife, who's also working in the business. So productivity was obviously way, way down this year, but still in terms of initiatives, the big initiatives that we set for this year is first redo our Webflow program so it's up to date and so it's much better and amazing. We did that in the first quarter of the year, and the second iteration of our Webflow Masterclass is now getting way, 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 better reviews than the first iteration, which was good to begin with. And so that was a huge improvement. And then in the second quarter, we've launched the new program, the 6-Figure Freelancer. So actually launching 2 courses in a crazy year like 2020, I feel like that's pretty productive considering everything that happened, right? One of the other great thing big initiatives that we did this year is we have the community. So we have now 4,000 students, and we manage them as a community where we have live calls and discussions, and we help them, solve their problems. And so initially, when we just started our courses, those were kind of like just Facebook groups. Like we have 3 separate Facebook groups, but we couldn't really support people. And so this year we've migrated them into a new community platform. It's actually using a community platform called Circle. So we're managing our community over there. I think we're giving them way better experience and support on that platform. So that was also one of the big initiatives that we had. And throughout, I think, almost the end of the year, or at least the third quarter of the year, we've launched a new website. So we've completely redone our website. We've done a case study for that, so you can probably see it somewhere here. A new website. We've done mini documentaries with success stories on our students. The goal with this new website was to really, make this change that I was talking to you about, from, hey, here's Ron's online courses, into this is a legitimate, amazing company. Take a look at, the focus is not about me, oh, I'm an amazing teacher, but look at the successes that we were able to achieve for our students. Take a look at their number, listen to their stories, look at what they have to say. So we wanted to put way more focus on that. So that was a huge initiative. We got some awards recognition for that. We got some, it was a very fun initiative to do with. It helped us set up a whole new SEO strategy and launch a new blog. So there was a lot into this new website initiative. And I also think this was already an incredible team effort. And I think it will probably never be possible without having the team in place, such a big website initiative. All right, so now it's time to talk about what actually went wrong with this year. So I think one of my 2 biggest mistakes, or at least, so I've mentioned hiring was something new for me, something that I didn't have a lot of experience with. So this was the first time that I had to hire and actually also fire. So I've made 2 hiring mistakes. And when I say hiring mistakes, those are obviously my mistakes. So I didn't hire the right people for our team, or I didn't even know how to define what we actually need. And so I ended up hiring people that didn't work out, and then I had to actually fire them or let them go. And that was a very, very painful experience. I've never had to do that before. And I can definitely see why a lot of people wouldn't want to even get into hiring and management and even building a company, just because that thing is really tough, and this year has been a tough year for everybody. So imagine having to let somebody go during a year like this. This is something really, really painful. And yet, you have now a responsibility for the company and for the team. So you want to make sure that everybody has to be, you have to do the responsible thing for everybody. And so this is really, really tough. I've definitely learned a lot, and I've made my mistakes, and those mistakes were also painful for other people. So, again, I'm very sorry about that, and I try to learn and be better, and that's part of my process as becoming a manager, right? The other thing that was kind of a failure is and I've mentioned this a little bit earlier, that I thought we're gonna 5x the company during this year. And this has been basically based on very false assumptions. So one of the assumptions that when I try to project what's going to happen this year, I had the assumption that we can double the growth of our Instagram page every 3 months. So the number of followers or traffic that we get to our website from Instagram is going to double every 3 months, which is exponential, right? And the conversion rate is actually going to keep being the same conversion rate with this new traffic. And this assumption was not even close to reality. So although, the reason that I came up with this hypothesis is just because that's what happened in the last quarter of 2019. So I was just like, if we keep doing what we're doing, it's going to happen again and again and again. But it turns out it doesn't really work that way. Instagram changes their algorithms, and even you can post the best content in the world, and then Instagram will decide, well, we're not showing you on hashtags, or for whatever reason, growth behaves in a very different ways, and you can't really predict this, and it's not up to you. So you can just keep doing good content and hope for the best, but the best wasn't what I expected it to be. Also, one thing that I learned, and might be interesting, is that the traffic that is, so in the previous year, most of our traffic came from YouTube. That was kind of our main channel. And this year, Instagram has grown, and we started getting a lot of traffic from there. However, that traffic does not behave the same way, or at least they don't purchase at the same rates that the YouTube rates are. Now, there can be a few different assumptions or a hypothesis as why does that happen? And from our analytics, looks like YouTube traffic converts 2 times better than Instagram traffic. My personal hypothesis is just because people on YouTube, they watch you, they stay with you, and they spend a lot of time with you, and so that kind of builds trust and connection way more than reading Instagram carousels, which is a little bit more shallow. Somebody else also told me in a hypothesis of, people who like online courses, they watch stuff on YouTube, and so they know what they're going to get with an online course, while on Instagram it's a little bit different. So YouTube audience likes videos or something like that. I don't know what's the reason, but that's how the traffic ended up behaving. And so my hypothesis that Instagram traffic will grow and it will convert just as good as YouTube traffic was just a mistake. And that basically meant that our numbers were not going in the direction that I wanted them to go, but we've managed to adjust, and we've managed to still grow and still be profitable. And so at the end of the day, although it was a mistake in planning, we ended up being in a good place at the end of it. Now, the last mistake that I want to kind of share is I've talked a lot earlier about the new website initiative and how excited I was to put up a new website that is not just about me, that is showcasing everybody else. However, I've made some decisions in terms of how we're going to sell our courses to completely change the marketing strategy that we were coming from. So previously, on our previous website, we had very, very long pages, what's actually called long sales page. And that's a page with tons and tons and tons of copy. It takes you like 10 minutes to buy this before you even get to the point where we're telling you how much the courses cost and so forth. And one of my assumptions were that we want to move into a more kind of like product-y product pages, very, very short, just features and, very, very clear and to the point. And my assumption was this is going to be a better experience for people. That being said, it turned out that it kind of wrecked conversion rates, right? So maybe the design is great and maybe, the experience is good, but in terms of sales, having shorter sales pages with less information on them actually convert less well. My business coach and advisor Rob told me, the more you tell, the more you sell. So obviously, by trying to make the page more compact and the sales page shorter, we've, I guess, hurt the conversions on that. We've right now have been running kind of an A/B test on keeping the new design but making the pages longer. I've actually shared this, I think, last week on a video about A/B testing with Webflow, and it does look like the long pages convert significantly higher. And so we're probably going to revert back in terms of how our marketing pages are structured to the old-fashioned way, but we're going to keep the new design. So that is that. All right, so now I want to talk to you a little bit about where we're going and how I'm thinking actually about the future of, Flux as a business. And so one thing that I was thinking a lot about was like, what if Apple would build an online design school? Like, how would that look like? And that kind of like opened my mind to a lot of ideas. I was like, wow, this is actually going to be an amazing, it's going to have this and that and that. And thinking about it through this lens of like, what would Apple do? Like if Apple would build this business, what would Apple do? Actually gave me a lot of clarification about things that we need to do and that we need to change in our business. And so I kind of want to share the plan of how we're thinking and what we'll be building on, next year. So next year, the first thing that I think we're going to try and do is to actually innovate on the whole learning experience. And that is broken down to a few components. First of all, the methodology of how we actually teach things. How do we explain things? How do we transform people from not understanding a concept into understanding it? I think we're going to come up with something really new there. The second thing is the learning platform. So I've mentioned that we're using Circle for a community platform. We're currently using a solution called Teachable to, so people can watch the video of our courses. But one thing that I realized thinking through the Apple lens of things is you can't really use these, off-the-shelf platform, ready-made platform that everybody else has, right? And in a sense, like this year and in the last few years in general, I think online courses have become kind of a commodity, right? It's so easy to create an online course today. Everybody is doing it. And platforms like Teachable and Circle are making it so easy to put your videos here and put your community here. So the result of us using the same tools as everybody else actually means like our experience feels like every other, online course out there. And if we want to differentiate ourselves, if we want to create a better product and a better experience, we're probably going to have to design our own platform to do that. And so that's probably going to be a very big initiative for us in 2021. The other thing is how we're giving feedback. I have a core belief, I did went to 4 years of design school, and one of the big things that I took from there was not the knowledge, but was actually the feedback from the expert teachers and the network that I've built there. And so for me personally, as I'm building Fluxes, my goal is to be the best design school out there. The two things that I really care about is feedback and community, right? Because these are, I think, the two things that kind of differentiate like these commodity, hey, watch some videos, learn some skills, into really design school that creates transformation in your life. If you create lifelong friends, if you got this valuable, amazing feedback on your actual work. So how to do that, how to give feedback in a better way, and how to create better community experience so that you can actually create these lifelong friends that you've signed up for the course together with. Those are going to be the things that we're going to focus on and the question that are going to guide us as we kind of build the future of, this business. Now, in terms of the kind of the next products or that we're going to release, I actually think, again, looking through this, the Apple lens, is that we're not, in a sense, premium enough, right? Some people think that our courses today, which cost $700 or $500, are expensive. But to be honest, that's kind of like that's maybe expensive in the cheap side of courses, right? If you go and look at the real in-depth transformational boot camps or alternatives to college and things like that, you'll see that programs usually cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 or even more for really in-depth program, which includes, personal coaching and all of these things that we want to include. And so I think for us, we're going to have to go there. And that means, again, like changing our prices to 10 times the price that we're currently charging is a pretty big move. And I know it's also a big risk and very scary. I know how many people that we have right now which find the current prices that we have as expensive. And I know that they're going to be sad or they're going to be left out if we even raise our prices even more, and they're going to make it unaffordable for them. That being said, I think that just as we actually teach in our programs, and just as I tell other people, right, you choose the clients that you want to work with, right? So if you want to build a 10K website, you're going to have to go with people who care enough to pay 10K website. Otherwise, you can keep working with, $500 clients who want $500 websites. And so what I think is that we're probably going to go with the Tesla approach of things. And the Tesla approach of things if you're familiar with how Tesla started and launched their first cars, they started up with the kind of releasing a very, very premium luxury car that it wasn't for everybody, right? It was only for a few people. But the profits and the sales from that car enabled them to kind of slowly go down market into making a more affordable car. And I think that's probably the road that we are going to take going forward is Flux Academy. We're going to create a very premium and amazing program that probably not everybody is going to be able to afford. And although it's tough because I want to help as many people as I can, I do think it's more important to help them in a very, very meaningful way. And the things that you can do with $5,000 or $10,000 are very different with the things that you can do in $500. And you know this about web design, right? A website that you can spend $10,000 on and a website that you pay $500 for, you can do different things there. So I think we're going to do something very, very amazing that maybe not everybody can afford, but we're going to do that. And then we're going to roll those learnings and platforms as we go along into something that perhaps more people can afford in the future. So that's probably, in terms of product strategy, what's going to happen with Flux. And one more thing that it's probably going to say is that the era of discounts is probably going to be over for us. So if you've been following us, you know that usually once in a quarter or something, we do a big sale, like a Black Friday or something like that, where we do a big discount on our programs, and a lot of people are joining because of it. But I do think that, again, if we're looking from the Apple perspective of really creating something amazing, something that people really wanted, not because it's the cheapest and not because it's discounted, just because it's so good that you're actually going to wait outside the store for like the whole night before just to make sure that you get one, because there's just not enough for everybody, right? So I think that is a different kind of model of thinking about how to sell. Do you sell something because it's scarce and it's so good that everybody wants it, or you're trying to sell something just because it's the cheapest and it's discounted right now? And that's going to be also a very big shift. So all of the things that I've mentioned, while I'm very passionate about them, to be very honest, I think they're very risky, and I don't know if it will work. I mean, it might be a different business and maybe that business won't work. But I do think that if we want to achieve that mission and vision of being able to create the best designers on earth, which is essentially what I'm trying to do here, we're going to have to go through this path, and hopefully it will work out. So I hope that was kind of like informative in in terms of what we're trying to do. I'd love to have you join our journey, whether you're one of our students or maybe you're just watching here on YouTube and wondering how it is, like looking from the sidelines on how somebody builds a company. I hope that's valuable for you, and I hope you're gonna have an amazing year as well. See you on the next video.